Sorry from 17 once again. This is my Darksiders 2 Apocalyptic difficulty video walkthrough. This is Judicator's 2 that we're making our way to, and it is the next dungeon in this grand saga of Death's campaign. So my commentary is going to be a little bit reserved, guys, because I'm only just getting my throat and my voice back after just bullshit, like a week of just soreness and bugs and illness and just pretty much every Christmas illness that was flying around, that everyone was talking about, that everyone's relatives had, that you were all wanting you would hopefully miss. I got them all at once last week, and you know, it was a fucking terrible week, pretty much. Couldn't sleep, you know, didn't have an appetite, felt like shit, continued to feel like shit, couldn't speak, couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do, just a really frustrating time. But I am feeling better today, and my voice is a lot better now. It's not back, so I can't get too excited. I'm going to be as reserved as I can, and I'm going to be drinking quite a lot of water to make sure that I don't, you know, overdo it, because the worst thing when you're ill is as soon as you start to think you're getting better, you know, you try and do something and you overexert your body and you end up fucking yourself up worse than you were. So you want to be real careful with that. But this is a video that needs to be done, because I made a mistake with this guide. I mean, the biggest mistake was making it, although I know there's a lot of you that are probably enjoying it, and there are some people that perhaps aren't, because this does not get nowhere near the same amount of views as some of the other walkthroughs I've done, because it's just not needed, it's not necessary. And a live playthrough would have probably been better, because, you know, live playthroughs have a certain charm to them, a certain magic that people come to watch, and it's something I don't do often, and I generally pick the games, you know, that I do cover in such a format. I screen them quite a lot because they have to be fun games, and like Saints Row the Third. Saints Row the Third is a really fun game. It's a little bit too long, in my opinion, for the kind of live playthrough that I'm doing of it, but I'm limiting it by not doing all the side missions, so it's hopefully going to be quite, you know, a little bit quicker than it normally would. But the mistake I made with this video, anyhow, was I uploaded this and about 5 or 6 other videos following this one, and this one didn't have commentary, so the ones that followed it, you know, at that point are completely fucked, because I can't unlist them so that you can watch them, because you don't have any reference of how we got there, and it just messes it all up. So I've not been uploading Darksiders mainly because I couldn't commentate this video and get this one up so the rest of them can thrive, which hopefully this one will remedy, which is a good thing. And it's so frustrating because there's a million and one things I want to talk about. I want to just go off and I want to just mention everything, and, you know, fill these minutes with the stuff that I've been doing over Christmas, and the stuff that because I've been watching films, you know, just a ridiculous amount of things that I'd like to talk about. And the last few commentaries I've done on some of these projects, I've been running out of things to talk about, and now because I've not been able to do a commentary and, you know, get some different views and some different highlights across, now I've got plenty, and I'm limited in what I can say because I don't want to strain my throat, essentially. Because the Elton John trick of, you know, pouring oil down your throat doesn't work unless you're giving a blowjob, and, you know, I don't do that, unfortunately. But this is the beginning of the Judicator's tomb. What we're going to be using here is we're going to be using this lovely ghost spirit guy, this ability. He's kind of going to be your phantom influence. He helps you pull switches, he helps you pull levers, you know, just the general stuff. And what we're going to be doing is we're moving towards a central audience chamber. And in that chamber, you're going to speak to the guy who, I think his name is Basilius, or Bacillus, I can't remember. Basilius sounds better. And you have to get 3 souls to his court before you can, you know, you can run the Psychammer on and beat the guy up, essentially. And it's pretty repetitive in its structure. You do a couple of combat moments like this one you're seeing right now. You do a couple of puzzle rooms, a little bit of mild platforming, and then you go into a room where there's a boss fight, or a boss encounter of sorts. You do that, you rescue a soul, you return to the Judicator, or the Judicator, sorry. Judicator is a boss in Demon Souls, and he then sends you off to a new area of the dungeon, and then you do that 2 more times. So, on the gameplay perspective, it's pretty simple stuff. And we're only 5 minutes deep, and my throat is already pretty painful. So, probably not going to do any more after this. I was really optimistic that I could get back into the swing, but you know, you just can't force this type of stuff. You really can't, or you just injure yourself. But the good news is, I've started a project with my girlfriend. It's I wouldn't say top secret, but it's a special project regarding a game that I'm playing a lot right now, and a game that's featured heavily on my channel, and I'm doing something unique and different with it, I hope. And it's combining, you know, my love of cinematics, my love of my phone going off mid-commentary and interrupting me. So sorry about that, guys. Just resolved that situation. But it's a very difficult project just because of the nature of the game, and it's hopefully going to be a cinematic video with music. It's not going to be music from the game itself, it's going to be an orchestral piece from a different game that's hopefully going to help it build with emotion and things like that, and just a fusion of the things that make games cool. And it allows me to get pretty creative, and it allows me to do something different with this particular game. And I'm hoping that it's successful, and I'm hoping that it's popular, because I would like it to be the video that I'm known for when it comes to, you know, the game that I'm not saying intentionally, so that I don't give away too much. Because everybody seems to be known for a certain thing or a certain specific stuff, and it's a cool video to be known for if it works. And there's certain aspects of it which I wish were better, but you are extremely limited in the way that I'm trying to do it. And if I'm honest, if I keep on, you know, wanting to tweak things, which I can do for an eternity, I'd probably never publish it, and I'd end up just scrapping it. But I've got to the point where it doesn't completely offend me, so hopefully people will see past the, you know, the technical problems with it, particularly in some of the editing, because, you know, from a professional standpoint, I do break a lot of filmmaking rules, and it's just, there's problems. But I think altogether the ensemble is still pretty unique and pretty fun, and anybody who's played the game will understand, you know, how difficult it probably is to do the type of thing I've done with it, and they'll also appreciate the cinematic edge to it. Because I don't know, I'm really excited for it, and I'm hoping that people respond well. And it doesn't bother me if there's a bunch of people just criticising it, because it's not really the point of it. It's just something different and, you know, something unique. Because this game that is featured, there is so much content on YouTube for it, it's ridiculous, and I have no idea what I'm doing on this plinth, or whatever the hell I'm messing about with is. But that just goes to show death can be a pain in the ass to control at times, so I was just being an idiot. But there's a lot of content for this game all over YouTube, all kinds of different stuff. Some of it's great, some of it's not, some of it's standard, some of it's got very little editing, very little effort, and I'm hoping that this is, you know, no one else has done it. I haven't searched to see if anybody has, and, you know, one of the biggest hitters in the series is probably the closest to anything like this, just because the way that he edits certain videos he's done to give them a dramatic flair. And this is very similar, but a different premise. But this is the Judicator's court, I believe, something along those lines, where he stands and he asks for the spirits, or the souls, should I say, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going towards getting the very first of the souls. But here's a quick conversation. Once the conversation is over, it's going to open the doorway for us, so we can climb all the way up to the very first, you know, target soul. But it's all standard, guys, don't worry. This game is really simple, and a lot of the strategy comes from equipment, and right now my equipment's pretty crap, because I haven't done any side quests, I haven't really shopped, I've just kind of relied on drops, and all my drops have been pretty terrible. So, you know, a lot of the interesting parts of this combat are really not that interesting when it comes to giving you much advice or much real strategy. But this right here looks like it's going to be a challenging fight. We've got the first of the enemy spawners. We've not seen these guys before. The rule of thumb when you fight any enemy with this character here, always kill him first. He will continue to spawn enemies profusely, and when you get close to him he does an area of effect ground pound, a little bit like Koopa does in Mario games, so just be aware of that. It doesn't do enough damage to warrant necessarily running away from it, but you can kind of get gangbanged a little bit, as you see here, because there's a lot of enemies trying to smack me while I'm trying to hit the host. And just, you know, right there I use the iframes on the execution to evade him, but just keep on beating him up until he dies. As long as he's dead, you are out of trouble, but if he continues to summon stuff, it can get really hairy really quickly. But when he's on his own, he's a cream puff, so just, you know, juggle him, enjoy him, practice your different weapons, get some combos that, you know, work for you. But I've not played on Black Ops for a month, which is ridiculous, and it's pretty much down to just being busy and social things. And I'm going to be getting back on, and I'm going to hopefully play a shit ton of it, because I want to, and it's been a while since I have, so I can bring some more Call of Duty stuff. I do have a Call of Duty project I've been planning since Black Ops, and now that Theatre Mode is back up and running, hopefully I'll be able to make that work. That is something special, and at this moment in time I'm not talking about it, but hopefully you'll be seeing it, because it's very different to a lot of the content that's out there. Very similar to something that's been done for Halo for quite some time, but no one's done anything, you know, of the same value, so hopefully this will be close to that. And I do apologise if I'm coming off quite cryptic. It's just, I don't want to mention something for fear of people asking for it, and just because of my schedule and how right now my life is a little bit unstable and I don't really know, you know, where it's going, so I can't promise anything, because who knows, you know, things change so quickly. But keep on using your little phantom buddies to activate the drawbridges to get you where you need to be. A lot of this looks quite confusing at first, but it's pretty simple when you get it down. But I'm hopefully going to be doing some zombie stuff with Black Ops, because I haven't touched the mode at all really, and I used to be a massive zombie guy. I don't know, Black Ops 2, I think I did the guide and I played around in combat training, and the connection kind of put me off the online for a bit. None of my friends bought the game, so I couldn't really play zombies with anyone, and it just, I don't know. I've neglected a very good game which deserves a lot more of my attention than I've given it. And it doesn't help that I intentionally stopped playing Dark Souls to try and pull away from it, and I'm pretty deep in Dark Souls again, which is kind of funny, because that's one of those games that once it's got its claws in you, it doesn't really let go. But I do have Demon Souls now, and a live playthrough will be coming. I hope to be covering the bosses and stuff and doing some fancy videos for Demon Souls, because it's a really good game, and I'm falling for the game a lot more than I did on my initial 2 playthroughs. I've been playing around with, you know, 360 no scopes with the bows, because I do think it's easier to do on Demon Souls because the analogs and what have you. I've been playing around with no lock on spellcasting and spellcasting in general, even though it looks kind of camp at times, because the fact that you can just endlessly cast if you've got the spices is a really fun part of that game. I've been doing the Black Phantom stuff, which is something I really wish Dark Souls did more of. Same with the World Tendency. I'm not the biggest fan of how the World Tendency is governed, but I think the effects of it are really cool, and it would be nice if there was something similar to that in Dark Souls. But I'm going to be making a video where I go over what I would like to see in Dark Souls 2, because I've been keeping a list of certain gameplay mechanics that I think are cool and I think could definitely benefit the game. None of them will be in the game, I know this completely, because a lot of my stuff is punishment for the sake of it, but I'm going to share it nonetheless. It gives us a forum for people to share their opinions. And for the people that aren't necessarily here for Dark Souls and would prefer different content, there is going to be different content coming, guys. I've got a whole bunch of balls deeps that I need to record once my throat is done, because I've got a bunch of, you know, pretty crappy games that I want to cover because they're kind of funny. I also have the new series with the PlayStation games that I'm wanting to start. The problem with that is I found how to capture, but it's nowhere near the quality I wanted, which is a big shame. And nobody commented on those videos with any knowledge, so I've checked forums, nothing's really helped. And then I'm going to be putting up a video which will be a quick PvP fight from Dark Souls, probably, and a commentary about XSplit, because I've tried downloading it now 7 times, or something along those lines, and it doesn't work. It keeps getting notified by my internet protection that it's malware, that it's a virus of some sort, that it's something bad. And even when I've deactivated that, you know, and tried to install it, it either crashes on the install halfway through, or it comes up with an error message saying that it cannot find these certain files on my machine, and until I can find these files, it can't continue. So I can't stream, guys, and I really want to stream, because I do think the future of building my channel could probably come from streaming. Mainly because when I'm recording things, and I do have quite a lot of play sessions, it allows me to interact with subscribers, and it just allows me to do stuff that doesn't necessarily need to go on YouTube. And I know a lot of people would enjoy that, because a lot of people are curious, you know, about the stuff that's behind the scenes. And streaming's a lot more real than sitting down and recording something like this, because essentially this can sometimes come off as like an act or a persona, when, you know, I try to be as honest as I can, but still people, you know, don't believe that that's really who you are. So I'm hoping to try and get into that, but I can't figure out XSplit at all, and I'm not very, you know, savvy when it comes to that kind of technology. I have tried the Open Broadcaster, OBS, whatever it is. I can get that to come up, but I don't know if I should use it, because a lot of people have told me that there's a lot of latency between the chat and delay from the picture to what you guys see. Hopefully, I don't know, because I mean that one does work, and I could probably stream with that. This is if I've even got this internet to stream, because my fucking internet is terrible. You're going to be watching, you know, stop-start motion Wallace and Gromit stream, so don't get too excited, folks, but hopefully it'll work. But this is probably the last you'll hear from me until I'm fully healed, but I do have stock videos, so you will be watching stuff, so don't worry, guys. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.